SVG-TV News for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. I'm Jennifer Richardson with the details. In response to the 2025 budget presentation, Opposition Leader Dr. Godwin Friday told Parliament that over the years he has had the opportunity to listen to numerous budget presentations made by the current government. He remarked that what the opposition has come to expect, whether in the estimates or in the budget itself, is that they cannot take the minister's statements at face value or trust the government to fulfill its promises. Dr. Friday expressed concern that despite the numerous pledges made in past budget presentations, there has been a consistent gap between what is promised and what is delivered.
We've seen that over and over again. The numbers and the fiction that is presented in the estimates and the promises that are made in the budgets, that we cannot trust the government to mean what they say. We can't trust them to deliver on their promises. The minister took a long time yesterday talking about, oh, we promised this and we did that, you know. Promised to paint a building, we painted. The promise to cut the grass, we cut it. To seek to give the impression, Madam Speaker, that, you know, this document, when they compile it, that they're serious about what they're saying and that they intend to do it, either to implement it in full, as some of it is expected to be done, or at least to start in the year 2025 or 2024 or 2023, whenever. Because the budget, we do this thing annually, not every 3 or 4 years. So what's in here is intended to apply to the year in which we are embarking. So you can't say, well, it's here, we put it on here 2 or 3 years ago, as you said, with the so-called roads revolution. But now we are at the stage where we're implementing it. That is just excuse. I know that they will disagree with me, you know, but it's up to the members of the public to decide.
Pointing out that the country has been through a lot in recent times, Dr. Friday noted that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has faced significant challenges from natural disasters, which have been further compounded by numerous man-made errors. He stressed that many of these issues can be tracked or traced back to decisions made by the current government.
We have had social and economic hardships thrust upon us, but much of them are also made by our own hands. And again, compounded by governmental indifference, neglect, and downright incompetence. The devastating impact of Hurricane Beryl was the most recent and the most tragic that we have had. Lives and livelihoods were lost. We heard that 5 persons died that we account for, but there were 5 others who are still missing, feared dead on the MV guidance. We are a resilient people in this country. As a resilient people, Madam Speaker, working together in good faith and with concern and love for one another, we can overcome this disaster, as we have overcome disasters in the past. This is not the first, Beryl not the first.
Noting the role of the opposition, Dr. Friday explained that for the most part, their job is to scrutinize the government's approach and expose the failings that have resulted from its policies. He further emphasized that the consequences of the government's actions are far-reaching, particularly for vulnerable people who may not have been the intended victims of these failures.
Over the years, Mr. Eustace, when he was leader of the opposition, and since then, Madam Speaker, we've had a really very difficult task of trying to get this government to respond constructively to what we point out to them. They have been stubborn and pig-headed in their approach, believing or giving the impression that they alone are the only fount of wisdom, not just in this parliament, but on the planet. Belatedly, circumstances have caught up with them, and it is clear, Madam Speaker, for all to see that this government, they have lost their grip on the affairs of the nation, they have lost touch with the issues, and as a result, Madam Speaker, their actions have been ineffectual. And the result is our country is literally falling apart. It is evident in the most obvious things like the infrastructure. Never mind the brag and boast of the minister yesterday. The things we can see. It is also evident in those things that we have to uncover, and some of which I will mention in my budget presentation. Through diligent research and, Madam Speaker, careful analysis of what is before us. But they, on the other side, after so many years in office, they have allowed themselves to become trapped, if you like, in a bubble of their own making. And what's worse, Madam Speaker, it's inflated every day by their egotism and their self-adulation, which has kept them more and more isolated from the concerns of our people. And deliberately or otherwise, they have become oblivious to those concerns. Madam Speaker, this approach cannot continue without causing irreparable harm.
Dr. Friday said the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will ultimately be given the opportunity to decide on the next mandate going forward. The World Bank $170 million Emergency Resilience Recovery Project, also known as the Berry Project, aims to support income generation, small businesses, and infrastructure repair in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2025. This was stated by Minister of Finance Camilo Gonçalves, who outlined the goals of the project during his presentation of the 2025 budget. According to Gonçalves, the primary objective of the project is to build 1,000 homes in 2025, with an allocation of $62.75 million earmarked for this purpose. More than half of these homes will be prefabricated structures, which will be imported to accelerate construction efforts. This initiative, he said, is part of a broader recovery and rebuilding strategy following the damage caused by recent natural disasters, including Hurricane Beryl.
First, recognizing the existing capacity constraints among contractors, we will rely on the supply of prefabricated homes for more than half of our 1,000-home ambition. These homes can be erected more swiftly and represent a significant upgrade in safety, comfort, and sustainability relative to the homes previously occupied by many vulnerable persons impacted by Hurricane Beryl. We have contracted a Trinidadian company to supply up to 50 prefabricated 2- and 3-bedroom homes per month over 6 months to accelerate the rebuilding effort. This is the same company that built the 27 prefabricated homes that were erected in Orange Hill in the wake of the 2021 volcanic eruptions. We will also seek additional prefabricated homes from Guyana through an extension of our existing partnership with Demerara Bank Limited, and we are also actively exploring other options.
Furthermore, Gonçalves stated that the construction of homes by the government will be done differently this year.
In addition to ramping up the supply and erection of prefabricated homes, our plan is to construct 400 homes through the HLDC using traditional brick and mortar methods. This is something that we have done and done well since our earliest days in office. However, unlike previous large-scale home construction campaigns by the government, the majority of the houses reconstructed on this occasion will be built on private land and within existing neighborhoods. In the past, we constructed new settlements and communities out of whole cloth. This time, we will be replacing individual houses in widely scattered locations. This significant difference has important advantages and disadvantages in the way that we will procure, assign, and implement this project. It will require nimbleness and determination from the Ministry of Housing and the HLDC, and they are up to the task.
The Berry Project, which is expected to extend beyond 2025, will not only focus on housing, but will also support significant infrastructure development. In addition to rebuilding homes, the project will provide income support and recovery grants to help small businesses and households get back on their feet.
This year, Budget 2025 allocates $40 million of the Berry Project to income support, small business recovery grants, and to begin the construction of permanent hurricane-resilient bridges in Overland and Noel. Over $21 million of this $40 million allocation will provide income support to 4,993 households and $3.4 million of small business recovery grants to over 700 enterprises and entrepreneurs. This is a massive people-centered investment in helping Vincentians return to normalcy in the wake of Hurricane Beryl.
Hurricane Beryl caused an estimated $875 million in damage to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, equivalent to nearly 29% of the country's gross domestic product. Internal estimates suggest that the total damage could be as high as $1 billion. representing about 1/3 of the GDP. In addition to the housing and infrastructure recovery efforts, Minister Gonsalves also announced a focus on expanding the production and processing of arrowroot and blackfish in a more modern and competitive manner. He said the government recognizes the historical importance of these industries and funds have been allocated to ensure that traditional practices are preserved while improving efficiency and market competitiveness.
Production and processing of these products has remained antiquated for far too long. After some burial-related setbacks, 2025 will finally correct these challenges. Budget 2025 allocates a total of $7 million to complete and operationalize a modern blackfish processing center in Barrowley and a state-of-the-art arrowroot factory in Orange Hill. These facilities will enhance livelihoods for the hundreds of farmers and fishers who rely on blackfish and arrowroot to make a living. It is no small thing that this government has invested almost $10 million in constructing and equipping blackfish processing facility and a further $9.3 million in the arrowroot factory in total. It is a signal that we are committed to modernizing the production of traditional Vincentian foods, and we have as much faith in the future of these products as we do respect for their storied history.
There has been successful production of white or English potatoes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines under an experimental project, a promise made and kept. This was confirmed by Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar, who responded to a question last Thursday from opposition Senator Israel Bruce regarding the project, which was first announced in the 2024 budget presentation. Minister Caesar highlighted that the project began with 35 plots covering a total of 7 acres. By the end of January 2024, they had harvested 433 bags of white or English potatoes, amounting to just over 21,650 pounds.
During the months of February and March 2024, so statement made in January, received the potatoes by the end of January. February and March, we planted 35 plots, approximately, some of was as big as quarter acre. These plots were located from Digro, North Leeward, to Fancy, North Windward, including areas such as Vermont, Green Hill, Acres, Montreal, Greggs, and Lauders. The plots were established by a team from Extension and Advisory Services, Research and Development. A plan was developed in conjunction with the Ministry of Agriculture in Dominica, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the government and people of Dominica because they assisted us technically with sourcing the seeds and also the technical information for the experiment, working of course with the local technicians. So the zones were identified.
Minister Caesar also pointed out that the project faced challenges due to a severe drought that affected the country during the months of February, March, and April 2024. He said the drought negatively impacted the final output of the potato harvest. However, he noted that despite the adverse conditions, the project provided valuable insights into the types of potato varieties that are best suited to thrive in specific agroecological zones of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Because it was an experiment and they captured the information, and we now have the information as to which areas based on the soil types that we will be continuing the project. I want to recognize the work of Mr. Ruth Vin Harper, who is heading the research and did really good work in mobilizing the farmers. And I now move to the final part of the question. What are the positive indicators, if any, that we can become reliant on this crop as part of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Food Security Initiative? Well, we are part of the quest within CARICOM to reduce our food import bill by 25% this year. Of course, we have to contend with the vagaries of climate change and other issues, but we are going to continue this project. In fact, we received potatoes already, seeds already, so that we will have to do over some of the trials in some of the areas which was severely impacted by the drought. That is the extent of the answer, Madam Speaker.
The Ministry of Education, in partnership with the government, the Commonwealth of Learning, has launched the Advancing Caribbean Teachers in Mathematics Education project, aimed at addressing the low mathematics grades that are affecting not only St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but also the broader Caribbean region. The project focuses on strengthening the capacity of mathematics educators to improve teaching practices and ultimately student outcomes in mathematics. The project, which is being piloted in SVG, opened with a 2-day workshop that brought together 30 math teachers from across the island. In her remarks at the opening ceremony, Senior Education Officer K. Martin Jack highlighted the timeliness and importance of the initiative.
Acknowledge that we are experiencing some challenges in the performance of mathematics here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, just as in other countries. Here is one strategy that we are employing to mitigate this. The collaborative effort between the Commonwealth of Learning and the Ministry of Education underscores our shared commitment to empowering teachers, strengthening pedagogy, and fostering inclusive learning environments for our students. Today we embark on a project that is both timely and necessary. One that focuses on equipping educators with the knowledge and skills required to integrate technology-enabled learning, TEL as we would say, and gender-responsive strategies in the teaching of mathematics. We are here to cultivate a dynamic community of practice where educators leverage culturally and communicatively relevant methods to enhance learners' mathematical competencies.
Martin Jack reiterated the importance of mathematics education, stressing that it must begin with teachers who have a passion for the subject.
The outcomes we anticipate from this initiative are transformational. To enhance teacher competency, when we talk about that, teachers will be better equipped to utilize innovative teaching strategies and technologies, making mathematics more engaging and accessible. So it means that when the officers come into the school, they must be seeing some element of difference. How do we know that you learn? You will practice what you learn, not so? Yeah, man. Gender-responsive education by adopting approaches that consider the unique needs of all your learners. And we're not putting our heads under the sun. We know how it is. We know everybody not operating at the same level, but we are equipping you with the skills to enhance in terms of a differentiated instructions, etc., etc., etc.
The project's focus is particularly on fractions, an area that has proven to be a significant challenge for many students across the Caribbean. Dr. Lewis George, a facilitator for the project, explained why fractions are being singled out for attention.
We're going to be looking at fractions. And why fractions? There are so many reasons why. One, it is difficult to teach, it is difficult to learn, and very importantly, it's a predictor of math success in high school and beyond. It underpins so many of the different topics in mathematics, and therefore we want to ensure that you learn this well. What you're going to be learning today is going to be a model that you can transfer to any other topic that you teach. So while over the 4 months, we are going to be dealing with quite a number of different topics, my hope is as you engage in different strategies. So today, concept development is what we are going to be focusing on in a very, very targeted and structured way.
The project will span 3 months, with most of the training taking place virtually. Meteorological forecaster with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Meteorological Services, Gregory Cato, has stated that the accuracy of the weather forecast for the 2024 hurricane season was approximately 80%. Cato provided this review during an interview on NBC Radio's Talk Your Talk program this morning, offering insights into the season's patterns and the service's overall performance. Cato explained that the 2024 hurricane season was a mixture of tropical waves, heat waves, and the impact of Hurricane Beryl, which became one of the more notable weather events of the season.
In terms of what we received from the NHC, actually they had initially in I believe that was May, an above normal season, 85% chance that it would have been an above normal season that would have been updated in August, by August 8th. And at that point, it's 90% chance. So it's very, very little chance that you're going to have a below normal. In terms of the storms, again, spot on. They had between 17 to 24 named storms predicted. We actually had 18. They predicted 8 to 13 hurricanes. Of these storms, some developed into hurricanes. So of that 8 to 13 that was predicted, we actually had 11. And they predicted, say, 4 to 7 major hurricanes. And of that figure, we had 5 major hurricanes. And in fact, it's the first time since 2019 that we've had to feature multiple Category 5 hurricanes. So the prediction was pretty much spot on.
Looking forward to the 2025 season, Cato outlined the SVG Meteorological Services goals for improving the accuracy of weather forecasting. He shared that they are aiming for an even higher accuracy rate this year, building on the lessons learned from the 2024 season.
Well, December, January, February, in terms of the rainfall pattern, they were expecting in the climatologists basically at CIMH, right? And thanks to them, we are looking at the usual rainfall or slightly higher. But we know based on the trends that we've been seeing in terms of as we approach the dry season, it's marked historically by a period where you have less rainfall, and also statistics have shown where you would see significantly lower rainfall than what you would see in the hurricane season. So we would still advise persons to, report all pipe leaks, make sure water conservation is a, common practice. Although the weather would be encouraging you for outdoor activity around this time, wind speeds normally increase. So we anticipate, you could say, moderate to rough seas, so you have to be mindful of that.
The forecaster highlighted that the SVG Met Services is also enhancing its collaboration with regional meteorological agencies to ensure the best possible forecast for the Caribbean. This, he said, is crucial for developing a comprehensive understanding of large-scale weather events such as hurricanes and tropical storms and their potential impacts on the island. Inspector Curtis Clark of the Police Fire Department emphasized the importance of more practice drills to improve the efficiency and performance of the Fire Service Department. During the WeFM Cop Chat program last Thursday, Clark explained that while the department has made significant strides, much more can be done to perfect the service. He stressed that practice makes perfect and that continuous training is crucial for enhancing the skills of officers and ensuring quick, effective responses during emergencies.
Do you do those type of practice drills?
Yes, we do those drills from time to time, but I will say that more need to be done, because in order to get better at what you do, the more you do, it's better for you. As they always say, practice make better. Yes, because if we don't do that, we become rusted, and at the end, we were not able to perform our duties as efficient as we should.
Clark further explained that regular drills simulate real-life scenarios, allowing officers to respond quickly and confidently when actual emergencies arise. He noted that in high-pressure situations, it's critical for responders to act swiftly and decisively, and consistent training helps ensure that they can do so effectively. In addition to the importance of practice, Clark also highlighted that there are specific time expectations that need to be met by officers when responding to emergencies. He emphasized that the Fire Service Department aims to reach the scene of an incident within a set time frame in order to minimize damage and save lives. Clark, however, acknowledged that meeting these time expectations is an ongoing challenge that requires rigorous training, coordination, and the optimization of resources. The department is also working on improving logistical support to ensure that personnel and equipment are deployed without delay.
Just recently at Argyle, when I got in at work some day ago, and I called and I asked to act the tower to activate the fire alarm, so I can see how quick my men respond, putting on the bunker gears, get to the truck, because it's important that time is efficient. If it doesn't do it on a timely basis, loss of time can mean loss of life. Well, for structural firefighting, meaning at Kingston and Georgetown, the time frame is 2 minutes from where you at, from your dormitory into your uniform onto the truck, no more than 2 minutes. And at the airport, it's 90 seconds.
Clark also noted that public safety is a collective effort, and the fire department works closely with other agencies and organizations to ensure a coordinated response to emergencies. He stressed that the department's work is not only about responding to fires, but also preventing them through community education and awareness. The 9th District Conference of the Methodist Church of the Southern Caribbean will be held in St. Vincent from January 15th to the 21st this year. The conference will bring together church leaders, members, and delegates from across the Caribbean to reflect on the progress of the church and plan for the future. During an interview on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program on Monday morning, Secretary of the conference, Philbert Delaney, stated that the primary focus of the conference will be to assess the progress that has been made within the church over the last 12 months. He emphasized that the conference provides an opportunity for church members to evaluate the implementation of strategic goals, share insights, and chart a course for the upcoming year.
On Wednesday, we expect everything to be in place and for things to flow smoothly. Between Wednesday and Thursday, the leadership of the circuit in terms of the superintendent ministers will meet, and they will have their particular aspect of the planning program. And then between Friday and Monday, the representative session, which will be the body made up of ministers and laypersons, will meet, and they will similarly have business sessions. And the South Caribbean district is made up of Methodist churches in this sub-region of Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, and the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It's important to note and to emphasize that we are part of the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and the Americas. And while it is true that there are Methodist churches and Methodist conferences across the world, and we do come together as part of the World Methodist Conference, we are in an independent body and has been from 1967.
Stewart Joy Matthews, who also appeared on the program, provided insight into the theme of this year's conference.
The theme, Renewed in Christ, Committed to a New Caribbean. But as you said, we are working with a sub-theme, and it has to do with refreshing our impact. Refreshing our impact. And it's more or less what Reverend Delaney had said, because as the church is an institution, and we must review and revisit our functioning in order for us to meet the needs of our constituents.
Superintendent Minister Silbert Prescott also joined the program to discuss the activities planned during the conference.
Apart from the business meeting that we will be having, there are several activities which we hope the general public and Methodists would be able to share and participate in. For example, on Friday the 17th, well, before we have daily, we will be having morning devotions, which would be held between 7 and 8 each morning, and this would be broadcasted on YouTube, where the general public can share in. On the Friday the 17th, we are having a panel discussion, or a lecture, sorry, not a panel discussion, which will feature one of the major contributors to Methodism, Reverend Dr. William Watty. There will be a lecture, which the title of the lecture is Rooted in Faith, Grounded in Purpose. the making of a Methodist rabbi. And so we will focus, on the work of Reverend William Watty. This will take place at the Kingstown Methodist Church Hall.
As the Methodist Church of the Southern Caribbean gathers in St. Vincent for this important event, the 9th District Conference promises to be a time of reflection, renewal, and inspiration for the church community.